What's going on, guys? Welcome back to Boxing Weekly on the StayWeighedIn YouTube page and across all social media platforms. The show where we bring to you the news across the week in the world of boxing. And with this week, there's nowhere else to start but the heavyweight division. Like the title says, the heavyweight division right now is a joke. Apparently, Usyk and his manager offered Tyson Fury a 60-40 deal to the winner, and there doesn't seem to be anything budging from Tyson Fury's camp. And it's quite disappointing considering we're in an age where there's always an issue to make fights between the top guys, and where it seems like you've got two guys who would be open to making the fight. In this particular case, it's not necessarily showing. I do think it's a fair deal to a point because at the end of the day, Usyk is bringing more of the belts. Usyk may not necessarily be the A side from a promotional standpoint because he may not be the best talker like Fury is. However, I do think he brings more to the table. So it is quite disappointing that we're not getting this particular fight and we're just at a standstill. It's understandable because obviously it is a big fight. So unfortunately, where boxing is compared to the UFC, we don't necessarily get them as quick as everywhere else. But when you get certain things like these particular deals, I think it's one of them where it's fair all round. And the fact that we're not hearing anything from Tyson Fury, Frank Warren, it does show that they're at a standpoint where it is about money, contrary to what a lot has been spoken about when it comes to Tyson Fury, and the fact that he doesn't necessarily fight for money. But in this case, it does look like it is. And it's funny because you've got Eddie Hearn as well, who's spoken up talking about Joshua and the fact that he fought Usyk twice and it wasn't necessarily a problem. So in terms of all of this, it is a very bad look for Tyson Fury. Like I said, my co-host Ray himself, he's not the biggest Tyson Fury fan. He's gone on record to obviously give him his praise for what he's accomplished. However, when it comes to negotiations and stuff, he's been open about the fact that Fury does run and hide. And this is one of them times where unfortunately it is showing. And it's surprising because when you look at this particular fight, Usyk isn't the natural heavyweight, even though he showcased his skills that he can fight in the heavyweight division, beating Joshua back-to-back fights. Fury would go in as the favorite, and it wouldn't just personally for me, it wouldn't be just as a small favorite. I think he'd go in as an overwhelming favorite by not myself, but just also certain boxing fans, pundits, commentators, and also when it comes to the betting side of things. So it is a bit of a surprise that he's not going ahead with this particular fight, or just in the shadows and not speaking too much about it. But one fight that is happening, and to be fair, is probably the leading thing when it comes to boxing, is Gervonta Tank Davis versus Ryan Garcia. The first press conference was yesterday. We've got the day, April 22nd, and thank God for this fight happening because right now, as much as we are getting certain good fights, these marquee fights that are bringing in fans who may not necessarily be proper boxing fans and are casuals, you are still getting the highlight name. And obviously when it comes to this particular fight, the highlight name is Tank Davis. And it was funny because he did show up as well, like 90 minutes late to the press conference that occurred yesterday. But again, got to give it to Showtime, Golden Boy, the whole works itself. They have made this fight, and you could arguably say, yes, we've had certain fights, but as a marquee fight, this is the fight that's saving the first quarter when it comes to boxing. And it's a bit disappointing because we're not getting any sort of stamps of the fights that we also want to see as well, because this isn't a fight for any belt. It's a catchweight fight, but it's just a fight that brings two guys in who the boxing world want to see. Following on from that as well, we do have some quotes from Steven Espinoza that talked about the fight that we're talking about at 147 between Errol Spence and Terence Crawford. Now, I'll just try to bring them back up. And he has said the negotiations have never really stopped. They took a pause. There's still conversations ongoing until one of the guys says, I'm done fighting. I don't think anything's giving up at this point. Now, this brings me back to the Tyson Fury thing as well. We both know both guys are active. We both know that this is the fight that's meant to be made. And it's just a lot of talk, but nothing else. And there's only so much when I think as boxing fans, naturally, you look at it and you say there's enough conversation before we don't care. And like I said, Razor alluded to this before. There's only so much he can care about. Myself, I'm a bit more lenient. I'm okay with it as long as it happens, but again, to a certain point. And we kind of have a standstill when it comes to that as well. And again, it's pretty sad when you look at it because we want this fight. There's, like I said, there's a few fights that we want, and this is particularly one of them as well. Moving on from that, and we've got Floyd Mayweather now as well. His exhibition in London was painful, but what he's got lined up potentially could be even worse. But it's smart with where he's going. He's doing this global exhibition tour. He's called it the Heist Exhibition Tour, or what he may not be called it, but you can basically paraphrase it like that. And it looks like Floyd wants to fight in South Korea, Germany, Japan, Australia, and the US before the year ends. Now, again, I'm going to allude to this as to say, unless you've got nothing else to do, you would go see Floyd type of thing. And again, looks to the economy as well. Floyd in the UK showed that he wasn't that big of an attraction, because if he was, I can guarantee you he'd be coming back to do more. Now that he's doing this global thing, again, it'll be interesting to see what he does in 2023, how the reaction is going to be from city, country to country, and who is also going to be fighting as well. Again, the US one seems to be the one that's going to gravitate me to see how it's going to be produced and who's going to be the guy that's going to fight Floyd in the US, considering his fights when he was a professional and doing the actual route was always in the US, and it was the occasion of the week when Floyd was fighting. But right now, like I said, he's an afterthought in boxing to an extent, and it's kind of sad. But again, more power to him, and in a way, more money to Floyd. For keeping up with the topic of Floyd, we've seen the video of him and Jake Paul. Again, I don't know what you want to look into it. Jake's done his thing with Tommy, so he went for him. I don't understand the point. Again, if you remember the whole Logan Paul, Floyd Mayweather thing, Jake intervened and took Floyd's out, and that really did get him a bit pissed off. So potentially you could get the exhibition there. But again, it's just a case of just wait and see what Floyd wants to do. Carrying on with boxing, just a bit more news as well. Ben Shalom confirmed that Liam Smith and Chris Eubank Jr., the rematch will be announced next week. We saw how the fight turned out the first time. Chris will go into this fight again, probably the favorite betting wise. I'm always on the fence when it comes to making immediate rematches and how you will react to it, because your immediate reaction is to go in for it. Whether it's a smart thing or not is a different thing. But I don't know if we set up a trilogy if Chris wins this fight. Like I said, it's not one of them things where I think it's trilogy worthy potentially. If Chris wins, he wins, and you just move on and see what's happened. I know Connor's done his interview with Piers Morgan as well. So again, could there be that potential? Maybe, maybe not. And finally, just to wrap up some news in the light heavyweight division, Eddie Hearn revealed that WEC has asked or ordered Better BF to defend his titles against Callum Smith, and Eddie's kind of confirmed that will probably be the next fight that Better BF takes. People thought it could be the Bivol fight, but it doesn't look like that will be happening now. Again, it would be after Ramadan, so you'd be looking at a fight probably in June to get the training camp in and stuff like that as well. Again, we could still get the light heavyweight unification fight in September, but as for now, we're at a standstill again with boxing, and it's a bit painful where we can't make the fights that we want to fight, and we are getting certain good fights, but they're not the marquee fights that we want to have. But as always, guys, that's going to wrap up Boxing Weekly for this week. If you enjoy the content, drop a like, share, subscribe, give us your feedback as well. Let us know what you make of the mess that is the world of boxing right now on unification fights. But as always, guys, subscribe to the YouTube channel, like, share, subscribe, and follow us across all the social media platforms. And as always, stay weighted.